to go down to the bottom lane to make it a 3 versus 2 on the bottom. And the outside line has just lost all of its momentum. Everyone going down to the bottom lane now. They'll be getting ready to reset for the next couple of laps, as we're going to have 3 laps left to run when Sanchez gets across the start-finish line here. But it's going to be interesting to see whether Harmon is going to push Sanchez to the win, or whether he is going to make a run at Derek Myers, the teammate of Gerald West. Oh, and the 98 of Jerry Glenn's just gone round. I think that was off the bumper of Logan Lansford. And that is going to give the advantage to Gerald West here on the outside line. But can they hold it? That is the question. Did they make their move too soon? Thomas Harmon sitting there just in behind them. He moves up. Derek blocks. He moves down. Derek blocks again. And we have contact. Derek Myers goes round. The win is going to Thomas Harmon. Thomas Harmon wins this race. P2 goes to Brian Harris. P3 to Logan Lansford. What an incredible... What happened here coming up in turn 4. Pretty sure it was the 18 of Brian Beach. It was... Hello everyone and welcome to the Legacy Texas Motor Speedway for the Souza Media 150 here on the Aussie Sim Commentator channel. And as you can see, a few cars on track at the moment. I think everyone's starting to get ready for a pit party here. Of course, there's always a couple of spoil sports. So let's check in with the goings-ons and see what's goings-ons. There's Sad Failor in the 21. He's currently all the way down in 16th. Damn. Andrew Griesbaum, who's just sending his first lap, currently 25th. Kyle Kraus also without a lap set. Your current top 10 is Christian Budd, Scott Rickard, Thomas Harmon, Paul Cox, Joe Slammer, Jonas Marquez, Andrew Perkins, TJ Crampton, Travis Barnes, and PJ Leary wrapping up the top 10. There is Jonas Marquez, currently P6. Showing a lot of pace out there tonight. Everyone's trying to get sorted here for the pit party. A guy across the road who thinks that his engine is bigger than his mouth. And the only thing smaller than both combined is his penis. As Christian Budd lining up on the front row with Andrew Perkins. Jonas is sitting there in third. And fourth is Corey Williamson. Rickard and Harmon off the third row. We're off and racing. We're currently looking at Champ and Slama. They're in the fourth row. Of course, a big jump for Christian Budd, who is the only driver currently in the 28-second bracket, a 28.901, compared to Rickard's 29.093. So Rickard with quite a bit of time to try and make up there, almost 2 tenths, to try and just equal the Christian Budd time. And they actually made it through the first lap cleanly. All the previous pit parties that they had run so far, not so clean, although Frank Isaacson has already gone around. All of Team Kraus sporting brand new paint schemes this week. And they all look pretty fantastic, honestly. There's Travis Massier in the 13. He's currently in 18th. He's chasing down Chris Champeau, who is in 12th. And there may be a margin of error with the timing on where these guys actually are in the field. Because, of course, my time doesn't count, and I'm in 10th. There is the 2, Jonathan Hernandez. He's currently down the order as well in 14th. We'll be looking to improve on that. Oh, there's shenanigans on the back straight, like Andrew Perkins in the fence. We now look at Brian Pizzacami. And this is a very spirited little battle between Champ, Hernandez, and Marquez. And Thad Failor trying to get into that as well. He pushed too hard into the fence. He goes. Oh, and in the background. Who was that? Robbie DeVore. PJ Leary and Thad Failor have a little bit of contact going into 3. And up into the fence went Thad. A lot of people don't really recognize the importance of the pit parties. A lot of people think it's just a little bit of stuffing around, you know, having fun, making crashes and stuff like that. But realistically, it's just getting everyone into the groove of running side by side with someone. You know, get that pack racing aspect going. And if they crash, then you re-rack, restack, and go again. There's the 81, Corey Williamson. He's currently in 12th. James Watson, he's right down the order in 22nd. We currently have 25 cars signed up for this race. Strength of field, including myself, at 2.8k. As sideways, that was Marquez, and he just caught Thad Faylor. Thad went around. Oh, and around goes Champo. Looks like he just came up that little bit too high, just caught the front end of Corey Williamson. There's the 13 and the 39. Massia and Watson. Massia in 19th, Watson in 23rd. And Massia in the fence. Oh no. The Cookie Monster himself, Corey Cook, nowhere to go there. There's Joe Slama in the 9, just in front of him. Christian, Bud, and Thomas Harmon. Bud is first, Harmon third, Slama in 5th. So that's how they qualify. They'd all be lining up on the inside row together. 1, 3, and 5. Just behind them, Jonas Marquez, who is currently P6. Got a lot of pace around here. The consistency of Marquez around this track is something that I would question, though. And this is Legacy, Texas, so it's the same banking on both sides of the track. No reprofiling needed. It's, in my opinion, the best version of this track. Could have done with a repave, but not a complete reconfigure like it got. As shown us on much fresher tyres than the 17 and the 38, zips by them. And we're going to have just 5 minutes to go now. So time is winding down for this practice session. Frank Isaacson just catches the ball coming out of turn 4. There's the 7 of Kyle Kraus. Some of these paints are taking a little bit to get refreshed. It looks like everyone well and truly in the 29-second bracket. And right now they're all in the 30-second bracket, while those who have been out there will a couple of laps. There should be about 8 laps left worth of practice. And that number of laps left is ever diminishing as time keeps on slipping away. Oh, sideways is Kraus. I'm not sure if he was trying to go to pit road there or not, but that's where he ended up. Kraus currently in the 17th position. Oh, Brian Pizzaconi just catching the fence in front of Jonathan Hernandez. There's Matt Sasola coming up. Another Team Kraus driver. Love the way Team Kraus has gone all out for this race with the custom paints for everyone on the team. There's the 27, Paul Cox. Got PJ Leary there as well. As we're just about to enter the final 2 minutes of practice. Scott Rickard is still the closest one to the time that Christian Budd set, the 28.901. Seems no one really in the top 5 has improved their times at all. If they have, it's only been fractional. Although Bud, Rickard and Harmon are all in the pits and have been for a while. Turn 2 for Cox, Slama in 5th. The only one in the top 5 with a chance of improving. Oh, around goes O'Leary. As we have now entered the final minute of practice. And the final minute of practice means only one thing. It's time for us to go to a commercial break. And when we come back, we will see the results of qualifying and the starting grid for the Souza Media 150 right here on the Yossi Sim Commentator channel. So make sure you guys stay tuned. Welcome back to the Souza Media 150 here from the Texas Motor Speedway, the Legacy Texas Motor Speedway. And it's time for the race, kicking things off with our pole sitter, 17 of Christian Budd. On his outside will be the 50 of Scott Rickard. Then we're going to have the 38 of Thomas Harmon out of P3 with the 72 of TJ Crampton out of 4. The 9 of Joe Salama will be out of 5 with the 92 of Chris Champeau out of P6. The 47 of Andrew Perkins will be out of 7th with the 2 of Jonathan Hernandez out of 8th. The 10 of Travis Barnes will be out of 9th. And 10th will be the 39 of James Watson. Gotta do a thing here real quick on my end, because all my overlays keep moving around and I do not like. 11th with Carl Kraus, 12th Paul Cox, 13th PJ O'Leary, 14th Andrew Griesbaum, 15th will be Sam Niederhelm, 16th Matt Sasola, 17th Corey Cook, 18th Travis Masia, 19th Frank Isaacson, 20th Thad Faylor, 21st Ken Campbell, 22nd Brian Harris, 23rd Jonas Marquez, and the last one available to do Hard Charger. And 24th is Robbie DeVore, Brian Pizzakemi, and Corey Williamson wrapping up the field. 26 cars to take on the racing action here today, with the 27 people in the server all together. Strength of field a 29-23. And I have an overlay that keeps migrating over to the wrong place on my my screen, my second screen here. But here we go, as we're about to get ready to go green. Only the one pace lap required. To come out of turn 4, the first start is on green. All the restarts will be on the leader in the restart zone. And we're off and racing with the Souza Media 150 right here from the Texas Motor Speedway. Christian Budd already with the very early advantage, and he's soon to be followed by the 38 of Thomas Harmon, his team leader, as we get through turn 2 cleanly for the moment. Everyone made it through cleanly. Love to see it. Still side by side for second between Thomas Harmon and Scott Rickard. Although Rickard got into the fence. So Rickard's going to start falling down the order like a rock. He was holding on so well to second there on the outside line, but one mistake and he has fallen back to 4th. It's like most people have single filed out across the field. A little bit of side-by-side action going on here towards the back. And a little bit more starting to form up towards the front as well. So looks like Scott Rickard battling for third, and in fact he's taken third back from Joe Salama. 72 of TJ Crampton looking to get into this as well. Scott Rickard holding on the advantage in this little battle for the moment. And Salama getting absolutely hounded here by Crampton. Crampton finally with an inside run. And he is going to take that position very quickly and easily. Now let's go back to focusing on crashes, see what we can see throughout the field. Tyre management is the big thing here today. If you can't manage your tyres, you're not going to make it to the end. Looks like everyone just trying their best to do that right now. There's some guys at the back who are looking to make moves. PJ Leary here in the 29 car. He's actually up 5 positions from where he started into P8. Another one, Jonas Marquez, up into 18th after starting 25th. As far as real life goes, the little penis man from across the street is back, revving his engine like he just don't care. Maybe he'll have an Andrew Perkins moment. And that is an inside joke with a few people in the league. And it seems that the ticker needs a refresh, so it will pop up on the screen. There we go. I wondered why it wasn't showing. And there we have it. As we're almost 3 wide here for O'Leary, Barnes and Champo. But O'Leary gets in the front of this, and Champo up on the inside of Barnes. They are squabbling over the 8th position. And with Leary in that, that's the battle for 7th. Kyle Kraus looking pretty good back there in the 10th position as well. He's up 1 position from where he started. And Ken Campbell up 5. It was the hero from last week, getting right up in the front battle. And Jonas Marquez is now up 6 from where he started. So too is PJ Leary. But PJ would have it as far as the hard charger is concerned if the race was to end right now. As we're already 9 laps completed and in the books. Just look at how everyone's just single filed out here. Everyone's just trying to find their own little groove. Everyone's trying to save tires. Everyone just wants to try and make it to the end. No one's really doing anything brash or anything like that. As we're just looking at a couple of the different camera angles we have available to us here. There's a 78, Brian Pizzicami. He's trying to tackle on the back of the 13 of Travis Massia. Oh, I don't like that one. We'll go back to our normal ones. These guys battling over the 19th position. Jonas Marquez has made it up 7 from where he started. Ken Campbell up 6. PJ O'Leary has kind of equalised out there and hasn't really made up any more ground. Corey Cook so far is the big loser and everything. He is down 9 from where he started. I'm sure that was all in an effort to try and save some tires. Oh yeah, Jonas Marquez up 7. That's not bad at all. As 7 of Kyle Kraus running around on the apron. Not sure what happened to him there. But things have started to spice up in this little part of the field. As Ken Campbell gets around Matt Sasola. So too did Jonas Marquez. That makes them up 8 and 9 positions respectively in this race. Sasola up 1 from where he started, as he has slotted down in front of Andrew Griesbaum. Griesbaum also a part of Team Kraus, as you can tell from his paint scheme. It looked like for a brief moment there we flashed into a different part of the track and then back to here. This is where all the racing is right now. There's a 1 second gap between Bud and Harmon, and then a 1.4 second gap. A 4/10 of a second gap between Harmon and Rickard, and another second between Rickard and Crampton. As Matt Sasola starting to get shuffled back once more. Kyle Kraus has got to let down, so Kraus had to pit. Not sure why Kraus had to pit, but Kraus had to pit at some point for some reason. I'm not sure why Kraus had to pit. Oh, I got the first caution of the race. PJ Leary is involved. Let's see what happens here. They're coming into turn 3. And it looks like the 27, that's Paul Cox, goes for a big dive. And that looks like maybe it was just a little bit of a racing deal. And the 2, so Jonathan Hernandez also getting involved in this. PJ, unfortunately, collecting the fence there on the outside. These two will just have a little bit of damage between them by the looks of things, just from their contact. And that has brought out the first caution of this race on lap 17, which means we are going to go to a commercial break. And when we come back, we will see how the pit stop cycle will cycle through. So make sure you guys stay tuned. Welcome back to the Souza Media 150 here on the Aussie Sim Commentator channel. And the 17 Christian Bud came into the pits in first and came out of the pits in first. Thomas Harmon came out second. Scott Rickard in third. Chris Champeau fourth. TJ Crampton in fifth. With Travis Barnes, Andrew Perkins, Jonathan Hernandez, Joe Slammer, and James Watson wrapping up the top 10. Ken Campbell has come out of the pits in 11th. He has gone plus 10 for the race so far, which is absolutely nuts. The 7 of Kyle Kraus was the lucky dog wave around. I think he's been in the pits repairing damage. So your current full order is Bud, Harmon, Rickard, Champeau, Crampton, Barnes, Perkins, Hernandez, Slammer, Harris, Watson, Campbell, Griezmann, Marquez, Sola, Masia, Niederhelm, Isaacson, DeVore, Cook, Williamson, Pizzakemi, Fowler, Cox, O'Leary, and Kraus. And we will get the restart with 21 laps complete of the 100. Means we will be on lap number 22. All right, here we go. Looks like the 17 of Christian Budd has chosen the outside lane for the restart. The restart will be on him in the restart zone. This is, I'm assuming, to give his team owner, Thomas Harmon, the best of restarts here. So he's playing the team game. The pace car makes a hard left turn into the pit lane. We're getting ready to get going. And we're off and racing. And another really good restart there for Christian Budd. And the restart tactics have worked out there for the two Team Harmon drivers. Also worked out for Chris Champeau, who restarted fourth. And he immediately took over to third position. But here comes the 10 of Travis Barnes around the outside. Look at him hooking that high line. And he moves his way up into third after restarting a bit further back. And we have another caution on the track. See Robbie DeVore going slow in the background. So I can only assume that the caution involved him. Oh, yes it did. So here we go, going into turn 3. Got the 81 Corey Williamson on his tail. In fact, he's got the 81 Corey Williamson in his back bumper. And around they both go. Do they collect anyone else? The 27 Paul Cox unfortunately caught up again. The 18 Brian Harris, nowhere to go. He gets caught up in it. And it looks like that was all that were caught up in it. The caution took a while to come out there, which is a little bit surprising. But that is the way the cookie has crumbled. And the second caution of the race has fallen on lap 22. It looks like everyone making a decision whether they're going to pit or not again. Remember, they have 3 sets of tires in the pits. And for the most part, it looks like people not choosing to not pit here. They did just take a fresh set of tires, so pitting now would be disastrous. Leaving with only 1 set left for the rest of the race. Yeah, all up they have 4 sets of tires to use for this race. The set they start on and 3 sets in the pits. Alright, since it looks like most people are choosing to not pit here, let's do a quick rundown on where everyone is at. Of course, it's Christian Budd, Thomas Harmon, Travis Barnes, Chris Champeau, Scott Rickard as your top 5. I've got Jonathan Hernandez, TJ Crampton, James Watson, Joe Slammer, and Andrew Perkins wrapping up your top 10. Ken Campbell, Andrew Griesbaum, Matt Sassola, Jonas Marquez, and Travis Massio take it to 15. Sam Niederhelm, Frank Isaacson, Corey Cook, Brian Pizzicami, and Thad Faylor take it out to 20. And then we got Kyle Kraus, Corey Williamson, Paul Cox, Ryan Harris, Robbie Duvall, and PJ O'Leary wrapping up the field. As we are on 1 to green, the lights are out on the pace car. I think Robbie Duvall is fixing to come back into the pit lane. So his damage is more than it's worth to just roll around and get a couple of laps completed. Pace car is going to make that hard left turn into the pit lane. And here we go. We're back underway at Texas.
Go. Green flag.
Another really good jump there for the 17 of Christian Budd. Thomas Harmon, not quite as good of a jump as what he got in the last restart, but he still did take over the second position. As we're looking towards the back of the pack here, here's PJ Leary. He was involved in that incident. And there is Andrew Griezmann in the 68, middle of the field. Almost everyone immediately going single file here. Almost everyone. And as the laps are getting completed, it means Robbie Duvall is going to go a few laps down here. Depending on how much damage he's got, that is. And whether or not we get another caution. As a couple of cars bounced off the fence there. I think that was Corey Cook, the Cookie Monster himself. I'm not sure who else bounced off. It might have been Souza. As the race continues on, Souza gets around Griezmann. And the back of the pack's always fun to watch because that's usually where the most moves are being made. I was saying that Ken Campbell has made his way into the top 10, making his positional gain plus 11 for the race. Kyle Kraus at the moment the biggest loser with 12 positions lost. Jonas Marquez actually equals the best amount of positions gained with Campbell at 11. And Robbie Duvall is 5 laps down and still in the pits. As the camera is still trying to find somewhere to focus solidly on. Looking at the two of Jonathan Hernandez. He is up there in P6. He's got Scott Rickard just in front of him. TJ Crampton just behind. But it's still Bud, Harmon, Barnes, and Champeau as your top 4. But Champeau is trying to get underneath of Barnes. He's just not going to quite get there. The two of Jonathan Hernandez looked a little bit unsettled there. And just behind, here goes TJ Crampton now. Trying to take advantage of the looseness of Hernandez. Gets a run up on the inside. At the line, it's going to be Crampton. Running the Team Kraus colours. And in fact, Hernandez now stuck on that outside. Which means Joe Slama was just about to stick his nose up in there and go for the position. Couldn't quite get there. As now Chris Champeau is going for third. Champeau makes that move stick very easily. As Travis Barnes now stranded on the outside line. Let's see how many positions he's going to lose as Rickard gets underneath him. And looks like Crampton unable to do the same. And just like that, things seem to have settled out once more. Robbie DeVore has come back out of the pits. TJ Crampton now goes for his move on the inside of Barnes. Oh, around Frank Isaacson. Corey Williamson nowhere to go there. Saw him ploughing into the side of Frank. Let's back this up and have a look at what happened. Going into turn 3 again. Frank's in the fence. Oh, and he's come off the fence at a weird angle. Andrew Griesbaum nowhere to go there, but underneath the back of the 24 car. And Frank back up the track and into the path of Corey Williamson. Nowhere for Williamson to go. He was still at full tilt as he was coming into turn 3 there. And I think that's going to be at least Isaacson and Williamson out of this race. A lot of damage to both cars. And in fact, I think Corey Williamson already gone from the race. So with that, we're going to go to another commercial break now. When we come back, we'll see if anyone pits, how the pit stop cycle is going to cycle out this time. So make sure you guys stay tuned. Welcome back to the Aussie Sim Commentators channel for the Souza Media 150 here from the Texas Motor Speedway. And we've had some changes in the field. The 47 of Andrew Perkins decided not to pit. He is the only car to not pit under that caution. Thomas Harmon beat Christian Budd off the pit road and he'll be out of P2. Christian Budd third, Chris Champeau in fourth. Scott Rickett in 5th, TJ Crampton P6, Ken Campbell 7th, Travis Barnes fell down to 8th, James Watson 9th, and Joe Salama in 10th. So Ken Campbell in 7th, plus 14 for the race if he can maintain his position there. Having a look at the rest of the field, it's... Is that Chris Champeau looking like he's going to pit? Maybe not. Just waiting for the field to come across the line here so we can get a better representation of positionings. Because Brian Harris is out of position in my standings. Ones that only update every lap. As we get the 1 to green. So it's going to be Griesbaum, Hernandez, Sasola, Marquez, Masia, Niederhelm, Cox, Cook, Pizzicami, Fowler, O'Leary, Kraus, Isaacson, Harris down to 24th. Robert DeVore 8 laps down in 26th, and Corey Williamson, OUT, out of this race. Currently 25th, but he'll slide back down to 26th eventually. It looks like Perkins has chosen the inside line for this restart. Since he is on older tyres, he very well may get some wheel spin here, which would not be good. So we'll have to keep an eye on this as they get the restart going. If you're wondering where the restart zone is, you'll see 2 lines, 2 red lines on the outside wall. That's to initiate the start of the restart zone. and one singular line after that, about 60 foot up, as to initiate the end of the restart zone. So there it is, we're in it, and we're out of it. Andrew Perkins, he's spun his tyres big time. And that absolutely checked up everyone. Side by side goes Harmon and Bud for the lead of this race. And Bud is going to take it coming out of turn 2. Just the 39 of James Watson got down onto the apron a little bit. It's a fierce battle for the lead between the two teammates. And Andrew Perkins will be absolutely ruined the decision to not pit there with the rest of the field. And it just about went all sideways for him. In fact, it did go all sideways for him. But just about ended in a big wreck for the entire field. So some very tense moments there. And I'm just trying to look for Perkins on my standings right now to see where he is. In fact, we're going to cheat. We're just going to go to him. He's all the way down in 24th now. Even Robbie DeVore with the damaged car at the back of the pack has gotten back around him. He's going to have a long, hard road to try and catch back up some positions now. He was probably hoping for a restart caution. And he was hoping for it to not be him. But wheel spin, especially on these legacy tracks, is a very real thing. And he just experienced that firsthand. Oh, into the fence big time. I think that's Jonas Marquez in the 64 car. It was Team Hernandez driver. Or should I say Hernandez Motorsports driver. Looks like he's got it recovered though. He's continuing on. There's Travis Massier in the 13. Currently in 12th. As I said, Ken Campbell still the hardest of hard chargers at the moment. Up 14 positions from where he started into P7. We're looking at Travis Massier defending from Paul Cox. Paul Cox, who is trying to get back up towards the front after being involved in an earlier incident, although he just slipped up wide and allowed Thad Faylor to get underneath him and take over that position. Cox trying to battle back on the outside, though in fact he has done so. And Cox now back to charging after Travis Massier. Baylor got a little bit loose coming out of turn 2 there, but he managed to control it very nicely. And it looks like everyone's starting to settle into a little bit of a groove now. As the laps are ticking down, we're getting ever closer to the halfway marker here. And it's still Christian Budd from Thomas Harmon, Scott Rickard, Chris Champeau, and TJ Crampton, who is disappearing from the ethos every now and then. That's going to be making it hard for the guys around him. But he is still currently in 5th. There's the 39, James Watson. He's currently 9th. He's one of the guys witnessing the disappearing act coming from TJ Crampton. And That Baylor back up on the inside of Paul Cox. So this battle is continuing for the 13th position. In fact, it's going to become a battle for the 12th position as they're both right on the tail of Travis Massia. That outside line just doesn't quite seem to have the pace of the inside line at the moment. We now move up to Travis Barnes in the 10 car. He's being hounded by Joe Slama in the 9. Ken Campbell's fallen back to 10th. He's still the hardest of chargers, up 11 spots from where he started. PJ Leary with the fastest lap of the race at 29.573, which he did on the restart here. It's just 5 thousandths of a second faster than Christian Budd. As we reach the halfway mark, 50 laps down, 50 laps to go. That's 75 miles complete. We consider we did this in just over 30 minutes. That equivalates to about 138 miles an hour average speed for the first half of the race. A little bit of a tap against the wall for Paul Cox. And I think I was wrong on my assessment there. It's probably about 136 miles an hour average speed. But that does include all of the cautions that we had. Now this right now going to be the 47's worst nightmare is having this long green flag run, considering he's on much older tyres than the rest of the field. He has made up a couple of positions. He's down in 22nd, but it's definitely not going to be helping him. The 64 of Jonas Marquez is in the pits. So he's losing out on a couple of laps, getting damage fixed from when he clouded the fence. And the race has definitely entered a bit of a chill part here. As I said, everyone has single filed out. No one's really battling. There's a lot of people very close together, and one small mistake, and we could have a lot of action on our hands. It's Christian Budd pulled out a 1.2 second lead over Thomas Harmon. Thomas had the best chance of taking the lead on this restart. Unfortunately, because of the wheel spin from Andrew Perkins, it didn't quite work out for him. As it looks like Jonas Marquez coming back out of the pits once more. Corey Cook has made it to the inside of PJ Leary. Oh, he's gone sideways. He gathered back under control and is able to continue on. Looked like he just about hit the side of PJ Leary. And it just about spat him straight into that inside wall. There's a 9 of Joe Salama. He's currently P6. He's chill. He's not battling with anyone right now as he got around Travis Barnes and just hasn't looked back. The people that didn't practice a long run at all are starting to struggle a little bit here, I would imagine. as we've got about 22 laps on these tyres so far. We have a slow car over in turn 3. It's Robbie DeVore. Something's gone wrong for Robbie. And he's going to slowly creep that car into the pits. And he'll take home 25th position by the looks of things. I think his engine may have expired. I don't see any acceleration coming out of this car at all. So this might be day done for Robbie DeVore. There's PJ Leary in the 29. And back up to Jonathan Hernandez in the 8th. And Brian Pizzakemi, who did not qualify, up 12 positions from where he started. He's in 13th. He is knocking on the back of the top 10. Although he's currently enthralled in battle with Thad Faylor. And Travis Massia down in 14th. Since everything seems so chilled out right now, I think we're going to risk it and go for a commercial break. And when we come back, we'll see what these guys are going to get up to as the race continues to unfold. So make sure you guys stay tuned. More action from the Souza Media 150 will be coming up shortly. Welcome back to the Souza Media 150 here from the Texas Motor Speedway. And what you're looking at right now is the gap from first to second, just about 2 seconds worth of time between Bud and Harmon. And I've been keeping an eye on the lap times here, and they're running just under 2 seconds slower than what they were at the start of this run. Let's have a look at Thomas Harmon here in second. He's got a tiny little bit of a gap over Chris Champeau. But Champeau and Crampton battling it out hard here for the third position. As Champeau just about got into the fence there. And Crampton has the nose up on the inside this time, so we'll see a change for third. As the 61, that's the Cookie Monster, Corey Cook. He's gone into the pits. I didn't think we were going to see green flag pit stops in this race, but pit stops have started. There's James Watson in the 39. He's battling it out with Jonathan Hernandez in the 2. That's the battle for 9th. Just behind them is Matt Sasola. And Ken Campbell back up into 8th, so he's plus 13 for the race at the moment. And so too is Brian Pizzicami, actually up plus 13. As Kraus and Champeau have both pitted. Like Champeau's only just gone to the pit lane. To the 47, Andrew Perkins, he's in. He'll be loving the fact he's in for fresh tyres now. So the entire scope of this race will change a little bit as these guys pit. And for most people, this will be their last set of tyres too. There might have been one or two towards the back that decided to save a set earlier on in the race. But for a lot of people, this will be their last set going on now. That was very close for James Watson as he was coming into the pits. Matt Sasola almost ran into the back of him. The interesting thing here is going to be when do Bud and Harmon pit. As Crampton has come into the pits. The entire scope of this race is changing. Chris Champeau on the fresher tyres, carving his way through the lead lap traffic. Slama's coming in. Looks like Ken Campbell is coming in as well. And when does Christian Budd pit? When does Thomas Harmon pit? You'd think if you're Thomas Harmon, you'd want to pit before Christian Budd does. Currently looking at Travis Barnes, someone who has pitted. Slama and Sasola are in. Hernandez and Pizzicami are in. There's PJ Leary. He is still one of the non-pitters. We only have 7 cars left who have not pitted. Make that 6 now, as Harmon is in the pits. That Faylor was running slow there. He got into the fence coming out of turn 4. Almost drew out the caution. PJ Leary is in. Which means just 5 cars left to pit. There's Sam Niederhelm. He's one of them. He's currently P3. Christian Budd is in. Christian Budd trying to cover her off from Thomas Harmon. There's just 3 cars left to pit. That's Rickard, Niederhelm, and Isaacson. Oh, and Kraus. 4 cars. My math is wrong. In fact, Brian Harris hasn't pitted either. I just saw. Lap 38 was when he last came in. Scott Rickard is in. There's Sasola getting around Baylor. Niederhelm and Isaacson must be trying to wait for a caution. We've seen many times in this league that's not a viable strategy. As the laps are drawing down, we've almost got just 20 laps to go. In fact, it's 22 to go when we get to the line this time for Sam Niederhelm. In fact, he's already there. And it looks like Niederhelm's going to pit this time. If Isaacson stays out, then he will inherit the lead. And Isaacson does stay out. And I think Isaacson just led the lap. He did. Chris Champeau has just overtaken him for the lead. And we have 20 laps to go. The car in the fence. Didn't see who it was. It might have been Harris. In fact, it was Harris. Harris, another one on very old tyres. And he will want to pit soon. I think Frank Isaacson is going to come in this time. Isaacson and Kraus both coming in. That leaves just Harris to have not pitted. I think with this, we're going to go to another commercial break. When we come back, we will be going to the checkered flag. So make sure you guys stay tuned. The end of the Souza Media 150 will be coming up here shortly. Welcome back to the Souza Media 150 here on the Aussie Sim Commentator channel. Christian Budd has just retaken the lead from Chris Champeau. And the battle for second is still absolutely on between Champeau and TJ Crampton. Thomas Harmon sitting back in fourth. And they are all behind these guys due to the fact of how late they pitted. But the 18 of Brian Harris has finally pitted. And TJ Crampton has just taken second from Chris Champeau. We saw that live on screen. We're going to go back to focusing on crashes. There's only 19 cars left on the lead lap at this moment. We had a couple of early cautions. In fact, we've had 3 cautions altogether in this race. And the entire second half of it has been green the whole way so far. Touch wood. There's the 9 of Joe Slama getting underneath James Watson. That is the battle for 7th. And it wasn't really a battle. Jonathan Hernandez trying to get in there as well. He wants 8th. And I'm just trying to look for Ken Campbell. He's up into P6. He's plus 15 for this race. He's just ahead of these guys. And he has similar laps to Joe Slama on this set so far. Jonathan Hernandez with 1 lap less than Slama and Campbell, as he gets underneath Watson to take away 8th. Watson, 2 lap older tyres than Slama and Campbell. As we just have 12 laps to go in this race now. And Christian Budd has opened up a huge lead, 2.5 seconds over Crampton. And Crampton has pulled out just about 8/10 over Champeau. Champeau's actually starting to pull into the clutches of the 38 of Thomas Harmon. Scott Rickard, the man holding the new single lap record for the race, sitting there in 10th. He's trying to get around Watson as well. He's got a 29 at 2:95. And he's just about an entire 10th faster than the time set by Christian Budd, who is his closest competitor on fast time. And now we just have 10 laps left to run for the Souza Media 150 here on the Aussie Sim Commentator channel for the Output Racing League. And if you are interested in joining this league, go to outputracing.com. Slama now looking like he wants to try and catch up to the 15 of Ken Campbell. Campbell, who was caught up to Travis Barnes. Campbell with 2 lap fresher tyres than Barnes. The Campbell is a real chance of a top 5 here, as he gets underneath of Travis. Side by side they go into turn 3. You've seen how good Barnes is around the outside, but just 2 laps difference in the tyres, and you can see it right there on track. Ken Campbell has taken 5th. Chris Champeau is only 2.8 seconds up the road from these guys, so there is still a chance that he could even take Chris Champeau here, as Champeau has some of the oldest tyres in the field, as he pitted on lap 70. So he's got 23 laps on these tyres, where Ken Campbell is 19. Travis Barnes now under attack from Joe Slama. And Slama has Scott Rickard in there behind him to deal with. In fact, Rickard gets up underneath Slama. Slama lets that happen really quickly, so he can reset, get right in back behind Rickard, and battles back up to his inside. This could be a barnstormer of a finish between these two. Rickard has the advantage at the moment, though, and he's actually built up a little bit of a gap over Slama. Slama might have burnt up his tyres a little bit. With just 5 laps to go now, everything's going to be out on the table for these guys as Rickard tries to get underneath the Barnes. Ken Campbell, due to these guys battling, has just been pulling away from them ever so slightly, lap after lap. Rickard has the advantage. Barnes has the momentum on the outside. And coming out of turn 4, Rickard now has the position, and Barnes got the fence. That allowed Slama to get straight in underneath him And so too for Hernandez. As Hernandez just moves his way up into 8th. And they're going to remain side by side for a couple of laps here as well. We've got just 3 laps to go now. And it looks like the battle's not over here between Hernandez and Barnes. Barnes holding on with the side draft. But just as we click over to watch them, that's when Hernandez makes the move stick. Ken Campbell, I don't think he's going to get challenged here unless he makes a mistake. Let's go up and check up our leader with 2 laps to go. In fact, a lap and a half now. The 17 of Christian Budd. He's won all but 1 race so far this season. And that 1 race was last week, but he's managed to get through it here tonight with supreme pit strategy. Comes out of turn 4 for the penultimate time. It's white flag, last lap. Last chance to win it or wear it. And he has a 5.5 second lead over Thomas Harmon, who has taken 2nd place from TJ Crampton. Behind him, Niederhelm and Perkins side by side. They're battling for 18th by the looks of things. But that is all for naught. It's coming out turn 4, your winner of the Souza Media 150 here from the Legacy Texas Motor Speedway. It's going to be the 17 of Christian Budd. As I saw Thad Failer backwards and in the fence on pit road there, coming to the line. Not sure what happened to Failer there, but that is an unfortunate way to end the race with him. Thomas Harmon 2nd, TJ Crampton 3rd, Christian Poe 4th, and Ken Campbell, the hard charger, in 5th, plus 16 for the race. Absolutely incredible. We come up to the front straight now. It's time for Christian Budd to celebrate. He didn't get to celebrate last week because he didn't get the win. But let's see what he can do here for a burnout for us. Got a nice start to it. He's got the constant throttle on. Oh, he lifted. That's a points deduction. Oh, just a simple little burnout by the looks of things. All right, so with that, we're going to go to a commercial break. When we come back, we'll have driver interviews to make sure you guys stay tuned. All right, it's time for driver interviews now, and we're kicking things off with the Autism Awareness Hard Charger Award. And we'll sing in his praises for most of the race. So let's face it, our hard charger for tonight is the 15 of Ken Campbell. As I forgot to take down all the overlay stuff there. Ken, plus 16 for the race in what is a track that we don't see very much anymore, the Legacy Texas Motor Speedway. First of all, how do you feel after going plus 16 for the race and it all coming down to a bit of pit strategy there at the end?
Yeah, feel really good about my race pace, and equally as bad about my qualifying pace. And so I can't seem to figure out qualifying in these cars. I mean, honestly, tonight I think if I qualified better, it probably nets me one, maybe two spots. And so, um, but if I had to choose one over the other, I'd definitely pick race pace. And so, had that tonight, and yeah, just got lucky there when I decided to pit on the green flag stop, and yeah, it worked out.
In fact, I would say that you're doubly lucky because you missed out on all the early race drama as well, three cautions, and you weren't a part of a single one of them, which is always great. But we'll also talking just a little bit before the interview here, and you cheated. You'd already had a league race here not long ago.
I did. It's about a month ago. I had a league race here in these cars, and same thing. Didn't qualify well. Ran pretty well, and had that one recorded. So I went back and watched it, and watched a VOD of the guy that won. And so yeah, I tried to mimic it as best I could what he did, and it really seemed to help out on the tire wear. I noticed after the first pit stop, the guys were putting their tire wear in the chat, and I thought they were lying because it was pretty bad, and I think they were at like 81, 87 or something, and I was like 91, 91 and passing them, and I was like, all right, yeah, I might have something for them here at the end. So
All right, now let's look forward towards next week, Ken. We're going to be going to the Talladega Super Speedway. What's the feeling like for you as we head to the bigger of the two drafty tracks?
that is my home track. That is my favorite track. Uh, with these cars and not being able to beat and bang and push, I'd prefer other cars where the bumpers line up. But any time I'm at Dega, it is a good time until it's not, because there's definitely going to be the big one. And lately I've been getting in it, but maybe we can avoid it like we did tonight and come away with a good finish.
All right, Ken, before we let you go here tonight, mate, anyone you want to give a quick shout out to, including the painter of the team cars?
Yes. So first and foremost, as always, thanks to my wife and kids for supporting me in everything that I do. Everybody back at the shop at Storm Motorsports for their support. Kyle Kraus for the paint. He painted the entire team, and we just look fantastic on track. And so everybody at Team Kraus, we've got a really good group of guys during the race. Everybody at the league, things have really cleaned up during the season, and just such a joy to run with these guys. I really appreciate everybody here, and the admins that are taking care of that, and you up in the booth.
All right. Well, thank you very much for coming out, Ken. Congratulations on coming home with the Autism Awareness Hard Charger Award and also picking up a solid top five in what a lot would say is a fairly difficult car and track combo with how loose and tight it can be. So we look forward to seeing what you can do next week when we go to Dago.
I appreciate it.
All right, guys. That was a Hard Charger Award winner, Ken Campbell. And it's great to have Campbell out there and having a good run. Coming up next, we are going to have our third place getter. And tonight's third place goes to the 72 of Mr. TJ Crampton. TJ, a great race for you out there. You were towards the front for the majority of the race, and it just seemed like one of those races that just clicked.
Yeah, it was very solid. Beginning of the race kind of fell back to like sixth or seventh, and then worked my way back up and um, got some good a good run running in there in the long run, and saved my stuff and worked my way up to third, and pitted a little bit early, and hopefully that was gonna give me some track position, which ultimately it didn't. But got to make those gambles sometimes, and I was trying to hold off Harmon there, and was luckily to not wreck myself and stay in the podium. But glad to get a podium as always.
It looked like just a fairly standard race for the guys at the front. You know, pitting when the cautions came out after a bit of a run, besides Mr. Perkins, and you know, just a fairly stock standard kind of a race for the second half with a little bit of a green flag pit stop action. What was it like for you just trying to figure out when to pit in that long run? And, you know, did you take a full tank of fuel or did you leave a little bit on the table there for just in case?
Yeah, really, it was just the main strategy was just wait and see when other people were going to pit. I knew the window was open for a while, and really, it's all about when other guys around you pitting. And heard some people pitting and decided to pit a little bit early than the guys around me. And yeah, I always take a full tank no matter what. If I take 4 tires, because it fills it up before the tires are done. And I like it just keeps the balance the same because if I start messing around with the fuel, then I don't know how the balance is going to be after that. So I'd rather stick with something that I know than do something that I don't.
All right, now let's look forward towards next week, TJ. We're going to be going to the Talladega Super Speedway. What's it feeling like for you as we head into Dega week?
Survive. Just survive the carnage, the madness. You know there's going to be an absolute big one at some point. Um, Historically, me and iRacing, I do better at Daytona than Talladega. I somehow, even though Daytona's tighter, I somehow managed to avoid wrecks better and not get involved in stuff at Daytona better than Talladega. But hopefully, luck will change around next week and we can end up on the podium again.
All right, TJ. Thank you very much for coming out. But before we let you go here tonight, anyone you want to give a quick shout out to?
Yeah, everyone at Team Kraus, Kyle, and also him for the website and all he does for the league. And I want to thank you for broadcasting. I want to thank Redline Oil, NRN, uh, Champs Speed Shop, and all of my sponsors here on this 72 machine.
All right. Well, thank you very much again for coming out, TJ. Congratulations on coming home P3, and we look forward to seeing what we can do next week when we go to Talladega.
Thank you.
All right, guys. That was our third place getter, the 72 of TJ Crampton. Coming up next, we're gonna have our second place getter, and our second place getter here tonight is the 38 of Mr. Thomas Harmon. Thomas, pit strategy almost left you in P3, but you just had enough tire life in it to get around TJ there for second.
Yeah, I knew it was gonna be close, especially with the gap that he'd get off of his fresh tires on me, really old tires, and struggling at the time. but yeah, glad it panned out. Got back to P2, and good race.
It looked like a lot of fun out there. You know, the 3 early cautions definitely threw a spanner into the works, but that long green flag run in the second half, that really looked like a good old output race.
Yeah, it was good to get long green run in there and green flag stops and having enough of a pit window that varying strategies played out, pass people, get past, all that fun stuff. It was nice.
Now, let's look forward towards next week, Thomas. Going to be going to Talladega, the old crab shoot. What's the feeling like for you as we head into Dega week?
Well, as long as I don't finish dead last like I did at Bristol, then I'll be happy. I mean, I just plan to be there at the end, but we'll see how that works out.
All right, Thomas. Before we let you go here tonight, anyone you want to give a quick shout out to?
Yeah, you have to booth. All the fans that come out each week and watch. All the drivers that show up and put on a good show for everybody. And then I think that's about it. Actually, no Avril in the car. Keep forgetting that.
Yeah, yeah. So, what is it? You gonna thank Scooby on the hood this time?
Yeah, Scooby Doo.
All right. Well, thank you very much for coming out, Thomas. Congratulations on coming home P2, and look forward to seeing what we can do next week at Dega.
I'll be there. Have a good one.
All right, guys. That was our second place getter, the 38 of Thomas Harmon. Coming up next, we have our winner here tonight. And it's no surprise who our winner was here tonight because it's definitely the kind of race that's right up his alley. Of course, it is the 17 of Christian Budd. Christian, Old school track, old worn out surface, high horsepower cars with not enough grip. This is definitely the kind of recipe that you love in a racetrack and a car combination.
Yeah, for sure. It was pretty fun tonight. I thought the setup was fun to drive. Yeah, you had to take care of the tires a little bit because you could hurt them if you know tried to run the outside or just run too hard in general. So kind of had to just kind of save your stuff a little bit, and then. But overall, it was pretty fun.
Now, what was it like early in the race? Because we noticed on the final restart there, you actually lost out in the pit stops to Thomas Harmon, and then you had to deal with Andrew Perkins on his old tires with his wheel spin on the restart. What was that like? Just trying to judge when to go for the move on him where he wasn't going to swing back into you.
Yeah, I don't know. I hate losing a spot in the pits. It seems to be a kind of a constant thing. So I don't know. That's just one of those things that happens. But as far as restarting behind Andrew, I mean, I didn't think he was going to really have wheel spin issues. To be honest, I thought it was gripping up so well that it would be okay. I figured the worst case scenario was he's going to be slow down into turn one and then kind of bottle me up behind him. So it sort of worked out that he kind of had the trouble where he did because then it let me and Thomas just kind of clear right by him. So once we were by him, then we got to kind of race it out for the lead there, and then just kind of wanted to control the race. I wanted to be up front. I know Thomas wanted to lead a lap there, but just being behind another car and getting the dirty air, just not really what you want. And then with all the yellows that we had early, wanted to restart and make sure I could control everything how I wanted.
Now let's talk about the green flag stop. What was the strategy like for figuring out when you're going to take that stop? Because you and Thomas went far longer than the rest of the field when it came to that stop.
Well, it's just this it's just how the sim works and how the tires work, but short pitting just never works. It's always a losing proposition, and you're going to make up way more time by just running a little longer than if you pit early. In order to make a short pit work, it really has to be timed just kind of right. There's got to be just enough laps left, and you know, to where that tire advantage can't get you. But once I saw those guys going, I knew they were going to have a lead on us, but I felt like we'd be able to track them down really fast. And so I just kind of waited until kind of everybody, for the most part, behind us had pitted. And once we got to 20 to go, I knew that, staying out longer than that really wasn't probably going to give you enough time to get, caught back up if you had a little fresher than me at that point. So then I pitted and was able to just pretty much drive past those guys and then get a pretty solid lead to the end of the race. Just didn't want to see another caution. That was the main thing.
All right, now let's look forward towards next week, Christian. From a track car and combo that you love to a track car and combo that you probably dislike quite profusely. We're going to Talladega next week. What's the feeling like for you as we head into wildcard week?
It'd be great if that one got dark and ended early too, is what I would say. It's just I don't really care for it in general. I really don't care for it with these cars in this package just because you can't do a whole lot. It's kind of just landlocks everybody. So I imagine we'll kind of be 3 by 3 as many cars as we got. And then, if you're in the back, you can't really move forward very easily. And if you're up front, sort of just keep pushing the car ahead of you as lightly as you can so they don't wreck. And yeah, it'll be nice to just get through it and be done with it, but not my favorite style of racing for sure.
All right, Christian, before we let you go here tonight, anyone want to give a quick shout out to?
Yeah, just everybody who showed up tonight and all the league admins for putting us on, and you for the broadcast. Hopefully it was entertaining tonight. I know it started off a little rough, but I feel like we had some good running there at the end, some good racing. So, um, but yeah, it's just always fun to come out and do these races.
Alrighty, well, thank you very much for coming out, Christian. Congratulations on coming home with another win, and we look forward to seeing what we can do next week at Talladega.
Thank you.
All right, guys, that is going to wrap things up for us here tonight. Thank you all very much for coming out, and it was a great race here tonight. I absolutely love the racing action these guys put on here tonight. But until next week, when we go to Talladega, I've been your commentator, the Aussie Sim commentator. We'll see you guys in Alabama.